Steep discounts and empty shelves marked Hudson's Bay department stores across Canada this week as the country's oldest retailer pushes to liquidate its remaining inventory. This has left shoppers feeling nostalgic and thousands of jobs at risk. We spoke with historian Stephen Bown about what the loss for the Bay means for Canada historically.
Well, I mean, as a historian, it's kind of sad for me to see the disappearance of the iconic retailer, and the physical architectural presence of that retailer in the major areas of our cities was a tangible portal into understanding 355 years of our nation's history. The Hudson's Bay Company literally founded the relationship between English commerce and Indigenous peoples and Indigenous commerce. And right from the very beginning, it was as much a social as an economic integration between those people. Hudson's Bay Company was entirely involved in commercial relationships, not colonization, and it evolved into its own culture of a mixed heritage between those two groups of people as it spread across the continent using pre-existing trade networks that spread all the way to the Rocky Mountains. And it's very formative for the foundation of our nation. All of those trade networks and all of those commercial outposts that were developed over 200 years formed the foundation for Great Britain's political and legal argument against the United States in order to preserve what later became Canadian identity and the nation of Canada. So its importance to the foundation of this country cannot be understated. It's political, it's economic, it's social. It ties into the very core of almost everything that amalgamated to form our nation.
We also asked Stephen how the Bay's roots played a large role in determining Canada's border.
So much of what the company was involved in laid the foundation for the existence of logistical and commercial networks that became the country of Canada. The border was really, yes, they drew it on a map along the 49th parallel, but it more or less paralleled where the company's operations were versus where the American colonists were flooding west, further south.
And finally, we explored what Canadians can learn from this.
I don't know that we can replicate any of the actions of the Hudson's Bay Company today to affect our current politics. And it's it's unfortunate to see such a major retailer face such hard times. But my interest as a historian has always been how the company pioneered institutions and developments that affected the foundation of the country. So I don't know in the last several decades that company has been fulfilling that role. I mean, it's lost its monopoly in 1870, and it shifted away from being in the fur trade as fur was no longer a valuable commodity at that point. Silk was replacing fur in terms of hats and clothing, and the beaver population was in decline. The company shifted towards real estate development. It had these significant land holdings along all of its trade networks in the north and western part of the country. And then after that, it shifted into becoming a more retail outlet that catered to the arriving colonists who were coming on the newly built railway in 1885 to service those people instead of the Indigenous people who had been its main customers and employers and contract workers for centuries before that.
We also spoke with retail analyst Craig Patterson about the broader retail impact this could have on Canada and potential redevelopments for HBC prime locations.
Well, I mean, Hudson's Bay's liquidation probably would mean the end of department stores in Canada. It's the last traditional department store that we have in the country that carries, such things as large appliances, furniture, cosmetics, and beauty. So this really would be, if this was the end of the chain as we know it as a department store, this would be the end of the department store in Canada. It really depends, I think, on the urban retail space, because Hudson's Bay has some pretty diverse real estate. It's got some downtown stores. The opportunities for those stores, if Hudson's Bay was to not occupy them, would be to redevelop these into something quite new. Well, they would be new. We would see a redevelopment, possibly something like what we would see in, say, Minneapolis. There was a department store there called Dayton's, and the 1.2 million square foot building was converted to something called the Dayton's Project, which is a large mixed-use project. So we may see this real estate repurposed. In our suburbs, where there are the vast majority of the Hudson Bay stores, which are in shopping centers, the shopping center landlords are going to have to look to repurpose these spaces. And that could maybe occasionally be one single anchor store. I don't know if that would be a Walmart or something like that. Very often, these retailers will pick a standalone box and may not go into a mall. Or these mall landlords may look to redevelop these boxes where Hudson's Bay was. So they may put other retailers in there. They may split the space up and try to integrate it into the shopping center and put new retailers in. Some could be small, some could be like Winners, which seems to be expanding like crazy despite everything. And other things could be added to these shopping centers where these Hudson Bay stores were, such as, say, like pickleball courts. This seems to be a big trend right now with shopping center landlords, particularly this year. So we might see some of that as well. So I think that we would see a repurposing of these spaces, but it's going to take a few years to do it. Again, if Hudson's Bay does shut down.
We also discussed how Canadian retailers can avoid similar issues.
Hudson's Bay's woes to a degree are due to, I think, a lack of financing and investment in the company. So the chain, the stores really did go downhill. There was not the best retail experience for people in the stores. I mean, we had a situation where we had escalators not working. In some cases, literally the stores had to close because of heat and of not having HVAC systems which could support air conditioning for the stores to keep open during a hot summer day. So I mean, this is a really low bar. The warning for other retailers would be don't do what Hudson's Bay did and let your stores go to waste, essentially. But I think to a degree, some of this was on purpose. I mean, I think that the company was looking at a lot of cost cutting, divesting, and moving funds to other locations and mortgaging these properties to the hilt over a period of about 24 months.